I think we've all heard at some point that curiosity killed a cat, but nobody talks about what kind of life the non-curious cat lived. My name is Juan Carlos Fontecha, and I'm a software engineer currently based here in Seattle. And on top of my day-to-day engineering work, I make videos about my constant pursuit of clarity and meaning within the tech industry. I talk about coding, engineering, career growth, and what I learned about this lifestyle. Today, I want to share with you my increasing interest in curiosity as a fundamental value in my life, why I think it's so important, and how it impacts so many other aspects of our lives. And in the end, I'll share some of the actionable things that I'm working on right now to become a more curious person. So why care about curiosity? For me, it's fairly simple because I can see my lack of curiosity working against me in very subtle but also very practical ways. A blunt and immediate example is my inability sometimes to ask good questions during meetings. And it's frustrating because it limits my impact and performance as an engineer, and I can see other people bring up topics that I hadn't considered and challenge assumptions that I just took for granted. In other words, lack of curiosity presents itself in me sometimes as this illusion of understanding enough. I clearly remember one of the first times I felt this way. I had recently joined Microsoft and worked on full stack features that increased user engagement. But we didn't have ownership of either the backend or the front-end code bases, and one of the features I was assigned to was to implement a new type of email notification that involved the interaction of several systems. It took me a while to ramp up on the technical details, but I thought I knew enough to successfully do the work. Around that same time, a new PM joined the team, and he had significantly more experience in the company, but no prior knowledge whatsoever of these systems. Suddenly, he has to ramp up on a fairly complex content backend, an email delivery system, and a couple more agents. The eye-opener came when, through his genuine curiosity and well-directed questions, I didn't realize that I actually didn't know a couple of important elements of the solution that would definitely impact us. I didn't know what I didn't know because I wasn't curious enough to ask and unconsciously made assumptions about them. And what about its impact? While you could argue in favor of curiosity's influence in almost any area of life, author Todd Kashdan lists 5 main categories that get benefited from curiosity in his book Curious. And these are health, intelligence, meaning and purpose in life, social relationships, and happiness. And while he outlines studies that support curiosity as a statistically significant factor in each of these, I find more powerful the intuition that he hints towards, where we can see curiosity as a deeply rooted value in some of the most desirable qualities of our lives. Its impact is hardly limited to our personal development, though. While I was doing my research on curiosity, I came across an article from Harvard Business Review that researched the benefits of curiosity for businesses, and it yielded benefits like fewer decision-making error, more innovative and positive changes in both creative and non-creative jobs, reduced group conflict, and better team's performance. One of my favorite learnings from that article comes from Pixar, and it made a lot of sense because if there's a business model from which you can learn a thing or two about curiosity, is one that literally runs on creative breakthroughs. Ed Catmull exposes one of the biggest challenges Pixar has faced with its new hires, the fact that they tend to not speak up very often, and he calls this the awe of the institution syndrome. And it's basically people not questioning the status quo because they assume that such a big and successful organization probably already has it all figured out. To fight this, Ed Catmull makes it a habit to speak at new employee orientations and encourage people to question why they're doing what they're doing, specifically if something doesn't make too much sense to them. While this is just an example, it illustrates the importance of curiosity in benefit of businesses. If the benefits in the personal sphere weren't enough, having curiosity also be a marketable skill made it clear to me that it was something worth actively pursuing. Can you develop curiosity? The good news that I encountered while researching this topic is that you can definitely develop it, no unlike you would build any other skill in your life. And here are 3 practical lessons I've learned and I'm trying to internalize to become a more curious and well-rounded person. The first one is to practice mindfulness. It's really hard to develop genuine curiosity if we're constantly distracted and operating in autopilot. This is something I've struggled with quite a bit, and the only thing that seems to work for me is practicing mindfulness through meditation. And I'm not here to sell you all the benefits of it, but I thought it was important to share that in my personal experience, I do find that it keeps me more engaged in the present moment. I tend to notice more often how my mind constantly goes off on its own train of thought, and meditation, of course, doesn't get rid of this, but it at least helps me catch myself zoning out sooner and bring my attention back to the present moment. Start questioning more stuff. I believe that once you're able to catch your existing patterns of thought, it becomes way easier to notice many of the assumptions we make on a day-to-day basis. And the reason I value noticing these is, of course, to get in the habit of challenging them more often. I try not to be too prescriptive about this though. I try to keep it as simple as possible. An actual example of this is the realization that I've never really been interested enough to know when I'm in daylight savings time and when I'm not.
I'm a genius!
And in my avoidance of actually finding this out and writing my current time zone abbreviation correctly, I defaulted to just saying Pacific time. So I tried to at least do a quick online search to know when one starts and the other one ends, and maybe find out a thing or two about why were those particular dates chosen. This sounds dumb, of course, but my goal is to build a habit so that I can later challenge more fundamental and impactful assumptions in my life and in my work. Act on those seemingly random itches of interest. Once you start questioning more stuff, you start to expand your horizon of things you could potentially be interested in. And inevitably, some of them will stand out more to you. And that's great, you're interested in something and that might be worth looking into. And these seemingly random itches of interest can lead to either new passions or activities or topics of conversation to connect with like-minded people. And I find it crazy to think that these branches in our interests that could bring so much value to our lives are so easily missed when we're on autopilot and don't look beyond what we think is immediately obvious. Being curious is a deceptively simple and unimportant skill because we've all been naturally curious at some point or another in our lives, especially when we were kids. So it's very easy to take it for granted. But once you realize how our minds decrease its natural levels of curiosity with age, and you understand the importance of this skill in so many other aspects of our lives, its value becomes crystal clear. I'm deeply enjoying everything I'm learning about the topic, and the fact that I can see its practical applications in both my personal life and also my work made me want to share this with you today. So if you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button below and subscribe for more content like this. I would also love to hear your thoughts on curiosity down in the comments below, so I'll see you there, and yeah, thank you so much for watching.